Chords and Coffee, and we're going to talk about a beautiful love song. Hey, it's right around Valentine's Day, and maybe you need to get a little song together to express to your significant someone that, hey, I love you. Took the time to learn this song. Here it is. Happy Valentine's Day. I've been married long enough where, I've just gotten over trying to outdo the last Valentine's Day. Jordan, how long have you been married? Year and a half. You're still trying to one up. You know what I mean? Good luck. Anyway, here's this song. That's the Way Love Goes. Merle Haggard made it famous. Now, Lefty Frizzell wrote it. And Lefty Frizzell, if you go down Lefty Frizzell's catalog, you'll notice that Merle redid a lot of his songs. So Merle loved the music of Lefty Frizzell, so much so that he's like, man, I got to cut that record. And what's interesting, on That's the Way Love Goes, I kind of did a Spotify deep dive, and I was looking for the Lefty Frizzell version, and I couldn't find one. I know it's out there somewhere, but I did find, I think it's Palen Frizzell, who's got to be Lefty's kid, did a version of it. And an interesting thing is that Merle inserts a 2-5-1 leading to the 4 chord in there. Now, I don't know if Merle did that, or my guess would be, Merle, he did a lot of jazzy things, so he liked it. But my guess would be either his ear from like what a pedal steel player would typically do, which would be to play the minor 5, on the strings of the pedal steel that, like in the case of this B flat minor 5, this B flat minor chord, it's the 5 chord of E flat, but the B flat minor kind of makes this E9 and this E flat dominant 7. That doesn't make sense, just stay tuned. But I'm going to show you the way Merle jazzed it up, okay? And I'm going to also show you kind of a simpler way to play it, capo 1st fret, which we'll get to immediately. And then there's a couple little fun tricks in here that when you listen to it and kind of dissect the song, there's just some neat little moments in there. There's a little chromatic thing that he does, specifically when he sings the word, and I love you too. There's a little chromatic thing that he does. And then also, it's just kind of an interesting study because if you're looking at, the first part of the song, like, if you're looking at the structure of the song is really only one verse, a chorus, a guitar solo, a chorus with a slightly modified lyric, and then it's over. So it's an incredibly simple song. Or if you're looking at the structure of, and that's the way love goes, that little tagline, that in itself is a one-line sort of chorus, then it's just verses with this one little tagline on it. But anyway, I think it's brilliant. I think it's a beautiful song. Without much further ado, let's just get right into it. So the simple way first, you're going to capo 1. The song in its Merle Haggard recorded form is in E flat, okay? And what we're going to do is we are going to approach these chords as though they're in the key of D. What's nice about that is that if you're learning this, especially, you're like, I've always wanted to be able to sing this and play it, but you find out that the old hag sings a little lower than you might be able to sing, right? That's the truth, because he's got that low voice. Then you might be able to pop it up, kick it down to the key of D, and away you go. Or move the capo around. You'll find it. You'll find a spot where you can sing it. So it's going to start off with just a good old-fashioned D chord. Again, I'm capoed on the 1st fret, and I'm going to give this to you with the capo, not as though it's not on there, right? Otherwise, why would I put this darn thing on my guitar? Welcome to Chords and Coffee. Anyway, so we're it's going to be a D shape. It's actually an E flat. I'm going to have my index finger on the 3rd fret because I'm capoed on the 1 of the G. My ring finger is going to be on the 4th fret of the B, and my middle finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the high E, and I'm going to play from the D string down. And this is very important because if you listen to the bass on this little intro, when he slides up to this G minor here, okay, this is going to be an index finger straight across the 4th fret, right? And this is really like if we're looking at this, a couple ways to think about this. You can think about this as just like a flat minor back to this E flat, right? Or you can think of it, if you want to get really complicated, you can think of it as a minor 7 flat 5 on the 2 chord. I don't think Merle's thinking of it that way though. I just think he's thinking of it as this D to G minor with the capo on the first fret, right? So index finger on the G string, B string, and the high E with the D string ringing open. And I'm going to show you what the electric piano is doing here in a second. I'll show you that, but this is the easy version. And you do that 2 times and then to the D. And he has a full measure, actually it might be 2, then it goes, or a full measure, and then the next measure starts the tune. I've been chasing da da da. Doesn't that sound great? And so immediately what you have is you have the 1 chord to this 5 minor. It's going to be A minor 7. It's actually B minor 7, B flat minor 7 because of the capo. That's going to be index finger on the 2nd fret, open G, and then you have middle finger on the 3rd fret of the D, 2nd fret of the B, open G, 3rd fret of the D. I don't normally call chords with the capo on it. It's messing with my mind. But I love you, and that's the way love goes. Let's keep going. So anyway, you've got the open A down here at the bottom making this A minor 7, but it's really B flat minor 7. And then you can go back to D here, but to my ear, I really want to hear the D7 right there to make this 2, 5 to 1. But it's to the 4 chord. It's a brilliant way to set up the 4 chord. So this D7 is going to be index finger on the 2nd fret of the B, ring finger on the 3rd fret of the high E, and then you're going to have your middle finger on the 2nd or the 3rd fret of the G, and then to a good old-fashioned G chord. This is going to be middle finger on the 4th fret of the low E. You can not play the A, or you can play the A, and if you do play the A, you're going to play it with your index finger on the 3rd fret of the A, and then you're going to have an open D, open G, and then your ring finger is going to be on the 4th fret of the B, and then pinky is going to be on the 4th fret of the high E. So, I've been chasing down, do, do, do. I forget the lyrics every time, da, da, da. And then to an A chord, 1 finger A, open A string, 3rd fret on the D string, on the B string, and the G string. But not in that order, just laid straight across there. And then back to the G, and then back to the D, and then this E7, da 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 da. And what is this? Index finger on the 2nd fret, and again, it's really an F, capo. Index finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, middle finger on the 3rd fret of the A, and then pinky is on the 4th fret of the B, and then play them all. And then back to this 1 finger A that we did a second ago. They're on the 3rd fret, but you're gonna have this little walk up. We've done that before in different Chords and Coffees episodes, but here it comes again. We've never done it with capo on the 1st fret, so let me give it to you. You're gonna have your index finger right there on that 1 finger A on the 3rd fret. It's really B flat, I get it. And then you're gonna have your middle finger is gonna come on the 4th fret of the B. Ring finger is gonna be on the 5th fret of the D. And what you're gonna do with that index finger laying down like this, you're just gonna basically bring those down. It's like a D over A. In this case, it's actually E flat over B flat. It's kind of the Rolling Stones thing. That deal, right? But he's going 4-leaf clover, right? And so you pop those down on clover, and then on the ver of clover, you're going to be on the 6th fret with the ring finger on the D string, and then the pinky on the B. You can have an open G, and you can have an open A there, just making that big old sort of A7 sound. Again, it's really B flat 7 because of the capo. And then we go back to the D chord, the D shape. Da 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 da. Da da. Right there in that moment, and I'll show you when we go to the bar chords here in a second, there's a little chromatic thing. And when you're re-listening to this song, and I hope before you launch into learning it, that you actually just kind of sit and listen to it for a second. Because when you listen to it, there's this neat little moment that happens, right? This little chromatic moment. I would love to know. Maybe somebody out there in the internet land is watching this right now who knows. I think Reggie Young played the guitar solo on it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I always thought Merle did it, but I did a quick little internet search, and I'm pretty sure Reggie Young played a guitar solo on it. And I'd love to know who was playing the acoustic, because in the acoustic guitar, you hear that little chromatic thing happening under the surface. And then later on, it is really pointed out and noted in the guitar solo. And so I would love to know which came first, the chicken or the egg. If it happened in the guitar solo while they were running through it and somebody said, man, that's cool, we ought to just do that every time we get there, because that's what happens. So listen for it, that little chromatic thing on Honey, I Love You Too. And that's the way love goes. Now, when they get to that spot, it just repeats again. And the whole tune is essentially that progression, okay? So that is the simplified version of it. And if you're singing, and even if I was playing in a band with somebody and there was 2 guitars, I would still say, let me capo here if you're going to play the bar chords, because it sounds nice. The capo is not a cheat. It's actually just a completely different sonic texture. So let's take a look at the bar chord version.
Chords and Coffee.
That beautiful little electric piano intro there is really, really cool, because what's happening is you've got these thirds and it's moving over the 1 chord to the minor 4. We never see the minor 4 again. In fact, we see the minor 5 after that. The genius of Merle Haggard, or whoever it was that came up with that. Maybe the keyboard player came up with that, probably so. Anyway, but it's really beautiful. Merle liked it and said, put that on the record, right? So with that, how do you play this little thing? So no capo. This is just, I'm in standard tuning here. I'm playing this in E flat in the recorded key. What you're gonna do is, I like to use my ring and my pinky, because I'm traveling backward for just a second, and I feel like ergonomically this sets it up nice. So ring and pinky. Ring's gonna be on the 8th fret of the D, pinky's gonna be on the 8th fret of the B, and I'm only playing then, I'm not playing anything else. And so I'm actually plucking with my 2 middle fingers. You can strum it if you want, or pluck it with your pick in your middle, or just finger pick it. And so what you've got is, you've got 8 and 8 to 6 and 6, and then I'm using that with my index and my middle, okay? And that's gonna be on the D and the G, same set of strings the whole time. So 8 and 8, 6 and 6, da, 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 back to 8 and 8, slid up to 9 and 9, and then walk back to 8 and 8. So, da, 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 da. And then so walking that straight down, so 9 and 9, 8 and 8, 6 and 6 again, and then to 4 and 5. And this is gonna be with index on the 4th fret on the B string, and then 5 on the D string. I'm using my middle finger there. So I've got my ring and pinky, index and middle, back to ring and pinky slid up, then slid back down, and then index and middle, and then index and middle here for that shape, and then da, da, hit that again and repeat it. And then to my ear, again, it's happening on the piano, but I hear this kind of, Wind Cries Mary chord here. It's the E flat with the G in the bass, and that's just gonna be ring finger on the 10th fret of the A, index finger laid straight across the 8th fret of the D, the G, and the B. And then it kicks into the chords. Now, I'm gonna give you the bar chords of this. And so what you've got here is E flat. You can use your index finger and your ring finger, and that works great. Occasionally, through no fault of my own, other than just my fingers are ornery sometimes, my pinky wants to do what my ring finger typically does. Little brother wants to wear big brother's pants, right? So there you go. Index finger is going to be on the 6th fret of the A. Ring or pinky is going to be on the 8th fret of the D, the G, and the B. And then to this B flat minor 7 chord. Beautiful. Index finger is going to be straight across the 6th fret, and then your ring finger from the high E to the low E, and then your ring finger is going to hit the A string of the 8th fret. Now, you got a choice here. You can go back to regular old E flat, which does not sound wrong. Sounds lovely. If you want to jazz it up just a skosh, I don't think Merle would be mad at you. I really don't. I think he'd give you a nod. If you want to jazz it up, you can throw in this E flat 9. It's a great place for it. And so what was that? Well, it's going to be, middle finger is going to be on the 6th fret of the A, index finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the D, and then ring finger is going to be on the G string, B string, and the high E of the 6th fret. And then the good old A flat bar chord. Index finger on the 4th fret from the low E to the high E. Build an E chord underneath it. You're going to have your ring finger on the 6th fret of the A. Pinky is 6th fret of the D. Middle finger is 5th fret of the G. And then slide that whole sheboing up to B flat. So now we're on the 6th fret. So we went from the 4th fret bar chord all the way up here to the 6th fret bar chord. Index finger on the 6th fret. From low E to high E, and then your ring finger is going to be on the A string of the 8th fret. Your pinky is going to be on the 8th fret of the D, and then your middle finger is going to be on the 7th fret of a G. I'm not used to calling these fret numbers out, Jordan. I'm normally playing in these normal keys, but here Merle Haggard's got me an E flat. I'll follow you, Merle. All right, here we go. And then you go back to A flat, to E flat, and then an F7. For me, especially if I'm playing with a guitar buddy who's got the capo on the 1st fret, I don't need to come down here and do F. I need to do it up here. And so I'm going to do this shape. It's no longer a bar chord. It gives my hand a rest, too. If the barring thing is a problem, here's a moment of reprieve. You're going to have your ring finger on the 8th fret of the A, your ring finger on the 7th fret of a D, pinky 8th fret of the G, index finger 6th fret of the B. Now, the reprieve is over, because now B flat, I would do it this way so that I can play that little moment. You could also argue, well, I ain't gonna do that, I'm gonna go, or you could do that too, but I'm gonna show it to you this way, because you might just be by yourself doing this too. So this is gonna be index finger on the 3rd fret of the D, the G, and the B, and then my pinky is going to hit the 6th fret of the low E. It's kind of like I'm making a G chord human capo without all the responsibility of the notes. Plus, I've got these two guys free to hit that 4th fret of the B with my middle finger, and then the ring finger is going to hit the 5th fret of the D. And then here, all bets are off, everybody jumps off their post, and you're going to have the middle finger hit the 6th fret of the low E, boom. Ring finger's going to get the 6th fret of the D, pinky's going to get the 6th fret of the B, and that's all I'm playing. I'm not playing anything else. You could argue that the G string could work in there and make it a 13. I don't want to do that. Just play what I'm touching, and then right back to it, and it repeats, and that's the whole tune. And there's a little wonderful chromatic moment that happens on the, so, losing makes me sorry, da-dum-da-dum, don't worry, sorry, honey, I don't, that little moment right there, what is that? Or, that's what it is. That little moment there, it's just kind of a little sassy moment there on the 1 chord where you've got, I'm sliding from the F sharp on the 7th fret of the B to the 8th fret of that G. So it's like a minor third, a major third, kind of, you know, kind of Scott Joplin thing. That's kind of where that comes from, right? And so it's going to be 7, 8 on the B, and then 8 on the G string. And that's the way love goes. Now what's interesting is that at the end of the first verse, what I'm calling the first verse, then you have this little, on this E flat chord, he's pulling off on the, making it kind of a sus just for a second. And so if you make that E flat chord I just showed you a second ago, put your pinky down on the B string of the 9th fret and pull it off. And then there's a, sort of a reset back to 1. And that's that same group of thirds where we have our index finger on the 4th fret of the B, middle finger on the D string of the 5th fret, and then up here to the 6th fret on the B and the D again with the pinky and the ring. That's the way love goes, babe. And we're right back into the whole sheboing again. And then another point of musical interest, when he gets to the end of that, what I'm calling the chorus, where he has that, and that's the way love goes. And he goes right into the solo. On the solo, if you poke around C minor pentatonic, E flat major, right here it's going to be the pentatonic box pattern starting on the 8th fret. I promise you will end up fooling around and finding it. And this is a great example. We're not going to go over the solo in this, but this is just a great example of playing the vocal melody and playing it in a very emotive, melodic way that just keeps the song moving along and moving forward. It's not too much. It's not too little. It's just right, right? So then after that, and he goes right into it. I mean, like they don't add that other measure of the 1 chord. They just whoop right into it, right? And then after that, he goes right into the chorus, and that's all she wrote. And we go back into the intro. We have that 1 to the minor 4. Isn't that perfect? It's brilliant. And as a matter of fact, on my Spotify, I looked at it. I think it's right at 3 minutes. So it's like this perfect country song. And it's a classic, wonderful country song. You know, growing up, I didn't always love country music. I was kind of a rock and roll kid. But as I've gotten older, some of the, relatable, just down home, everyday life topics and also the stories of songs like this they speak to me now. So I hope you enjoy this song. Comment below if there's another song that you'd love to look at, especially, it doesn't have to be from Merle. It could be anything that's just a nice, everyday, beautiful, perfect song that speaks to the wonderment of everyday living. Ran out of adjectives on that one, but that's what you get sometimes on Chords and Coffee. We're living life the best we can with a guitar in our hand. We do this every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. here on YouTube. You got to subscribe to this channel if you want it to keep on going. Believe it or not, it's a big deal out there in the world of YouTube and the algorithm and all that. So please hit the subscribe button. Please leave your comment. Please share these videos. Didn't even drink my coffee today, but I'm enjoying a cup. Hope you do too. We'll see you next Saturday.